hate over this really bad. This is like fourth time. This is like my do this crap. I feel like I shouldn't even commentate this over anymore. I've done so many stupid times. Right. Oh my god. I already have videos set up within this stuff. But if you want, guys, if you want to get Raiden early, go to the please look into Australia, and yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna okay. Okay, we got this. I got this. Oh god.
One of the most important franchises in horror cinema. So why did it take so long for a tie-in game to be made for it? Aside from that one game in 1989, there hasn't been a true video game that represents Hey, I'm Brendan with the leaderboard, and I'm going to give you all the gruesome details on Friday the 13th, the game. So put on your hockey mask and grab some popcorn, because this is 170 facts on Friday the 13th, the game. Let's get started. Friday the 13th, the game is a survival horror video game based off of, you guessed it, the Friday the 13th horror movie series. It was developed by Phonic and published by Cunningham. Its development first came into life in 2015 via a Kickstarter campaign. It had a goal of $750,000 and finished it off with well over $820,000, which meant the developers were able to hit a few of their stretch goals. The highest stretch goal saw the game getting over $5 million in funding. If this goal had been reached, the game would have gotten a map based off of Jason X, which sees Jason in space, in which an environmental kill would have been sending survivors out into space to become space monkeys. The game was funded by over 12,000 backers. With that many backers, it cracked Kickstarter's list for being one of the top 200 projects backed on the website. Not too shabby there, Jason. The Friday the 13th, the game didn't actually start as a franchise.
Okay, we got this. Oh, what's he rating?
Summer Camp, which was basically the skeleton of what Friday the 13th, the game would become. Wes Keltner, the co-creator of the Friday the 13th game, actually wanted slasher He even recruited Katie Butter, an actor who played the role of Jason in Part 7 of 10, to be Keltner's love for Friday the 13th started when he was younger and he would secretly read issues of Fangoria in grocery stores. He also stayed up late watching HBO, where he began watching slasher movies and quickly became hooked, eventually being introduced to the Friday the 13th franchise. Sean S. Cunningham, the director of Friday the 13th, originally wanted to make some kind of interactive website, but that idea was ultimately scrapped. Eventually, a friend of his in the game industry told him about Slasher Volume 1, and Cunningham felt that would be the perfect platform for a Friday the 13th game. The team didn't have to change too much of their original development plan from Slasher Volume 1. A lot of the core foundation translated smoothly over into becoming a Friday the 13th game, and the biggest change was being truthful to the series. Cunningham feels like the original indie movie scene has been reborn in the video game world. He likes that it doesn't take $40 million to make an indie game, and that the game industry feels like the Wild West, where there aren't too many rules and there's an reward factor as well. Cunningham wanted Jason to be the focal point of the game. He realized quickly in his career that Jason became the star of the franchise, even if it wasn't exactly his original intent. So he wanted a game where it made Jason feel like the boogeyman and this unstoppable force that arrogant people tried to stop. Keltner wanted fans to be involved with the development process as much as they could because he knew it would be the fans and super fans that would drive this game into becoming something more special. The other co-creator of the game, Ronnie Hobbs, wanted to be as transparent to fans as possible. Gun Media and Ilphonic did their best to always keep fans in the loop and even show them pre-alpha footage that didn't look great. While Hobbs felt fortunate to have fan input, he was also nervous at times because fans expected the visuals quality of a Final Fantasy or Call of Duty game, and those developers had almost 10 times their budget. Ilphonic and Gun Media felt that in order to make this game right, they had to stay independent. Executive Director Randy Greenback was worried that big publishers wouldn't be comfortable with their timeline and how much freedom they would give the development team, since they wanted to make this game possible. Keltner also knew that his team would only get one real shot at making players feel like they're playing as Jason. He compared Jason to the best sports car you can think of, and giving those car keys to a player for 20 minutes and letting them do whatever they want with it. When it came to the movement of Jason, Keltner knew that they had to be as detailed as possible. He didn't want Jason to just have the ability to jump or spring. Rather, he wanted Jason to have this feel of an unrelenting force that would just keep coming after him. In regards to the thrill of it, Keltner wanted players to feel like this godlike force, but he also wanted them to get into the mind of how Jason actually thinks. He imagined players controlling Jason will at times feel like a creep just for preying on these innocent victims, but will ultimately go through with it either way. Hobbs feels that the Friday the 13th franchise is special because it created this rabbit hole that allowed fans to either be casual about the movies or dig deep into finding so many details about the lore, color palettes, etc. One of Hobbs' main roles in the game was to design Jason himself. He wanted Jason to feel as authentic as possible. He even sought out the help of Mario Kerner, who owns the Friday the 13th prop museum. Designing Jason was incredibly difficult for Hobbs. Since a handful of different actors have played Jason in the films, Hobbs had to try his best to recreate each actor's body size and posture. He only had Hodder as a model, so he couldn't 100% nail every model accurately, but he tried his best. One of the hardest models to make was Jason from Part 6, because in the film, there aren't really any clear shots of how Jason's mask looks. On top of that, 2 different actors played Jason in Part 6, so that meant finding the right balance on how to model him in-game. Hobbs had a really simple reason for wanting to take on the challenge of making the Friday the 13th game.
We got him, it's dead.
It's been done only once, way back on the NES. The famous sound effect was created by the original Friday the 13th composer, Terry Manfredi. He recorded the sound of himself saying ki and ma, and then ran it through an echo blender, which created the infamous noise. The team wanted to have that sound be somewhat of a clue when Jason might be nearby, and to add to a level of tension. So naturally they brought on Manfredini to recreate the effect. Manfredini admitted that it was a bit of a challenge to compose music for the game because it was his first time working on a video game. For films, he composed music in the perspective of the audience, but for the game, he wanted the music to be in the perspective of Jason. The ki ma 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 effect is supposed to be Jason's mother telling him to kill. So in reality, Jason would be hearing that noise constantly in his head, which was a challenge that Manfredini had in balancing how Jason's music should play out in the game. Keltner knew that he wanted to do this project after doing research on it. He brought up Manfredini's music on YouTube and played it alongside other horror film composers from the 80s and 90s, but just couldn't connect with the other composers. He knew he had to have that charm and mystique of Manfredini. Keltner wanted to give the challenge to Manfredini to create music for multiple scenarios. Manfredini was used to directors enveloping him into each scene emotionally so that he could know what to write for the music. However, for Friday the 13th, the game, he had to write multiple musical cues for a handful of different situations that couldn't possibly play out. Manfredini loved that challenge because he felt like it was creating a musical crossword puzzle. He knew that players would end up determining which musical number would play based on their situations. He also wanted to design the soundtrack so that it would tell players about the situation they were getting into. This means that the score will dramatize each choice and adapt to an individual player's playstyle. Keltner felt that Hodder was the first actor to truly give Jason a personality, in the sense that Hodder established a force and consistent presence in how Jason moved and acted in it. Hodder was the development team's personal favorite Jason from the film, but they also knew that he was one of the biggest fan favorites, too. All of this factored into them hiring Hodder to reprise his role as Jason once again. Hodder had never wanted to give up the mask of Jason, even when he was replaced in the films. He felt that this was the perfect opportunity to reprise his role as Jason, and that it was a challenge to play this character in this new type of medium. Keltner wanted to use motion capture actors for the game, but Hodder wanted to go full force with each scene, basically wrecking each actor. Keltner knew that mocap actors wouldn't handle that kind of physical force, and that's when Hodder brought up the idea to use stuntmen and women for the motion capture recordings. The development team wanted to make sure that Jason looked good from every angle possible. They knew they didn't often have the comfort of having close-up shots of Jason because he'll often be from the perspective of the player counter. So they made sure that even if he was 20 feet away, Jason still looked terrifying. Hodder also said that there was a sense of creative freedom working for the game. He loved being able to be hands-on when it came to kills, and the development team for the game allowed him to experiment with how kills could be done with it. So many fans have asked Hodder what it felt like to be Jason, and he hopes that this game gives players that answer and they really get to feel what it's like. Once it was all said and done, over 400 different types of animations were recorded using the motion capture sessions. The development team wanted to capture as many of the iconic kill scenes from the movies as they could.
We did it!
One scene requested.
Begin. to provoke a god.
You reap what you have sown.
Begin. Is that your best combat? Your challenge is proving unwise.
Greed is power.
Raiden wins. You bring Batman nothing but sorrow.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
It burdens his already troubled soul. Begin.
You fight like a white belt.
Your combat embarrasses you.
You want to meet the demon?
Jinsei, give me strength! As a combatant, you have untapped potential.
You have some wisdom to share?
First, you will earn my respect. Begin.
The pain isn't over yet.
The Elder Gods frown upon you. Begin. 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 Begin.
I could beat you one-handed.
We don't need your kind of help.
It's an insane world. I'm fixing it.
Sounding an awful lot like Super... Keep that ugly mug out of the South Side.
I hope you brought more than insults.
Think you can handle a few...